So I just want to take a second to show something that I was working on the past week or so. Again, one of the things that we hear very often in the pre-sale demos, is around, we can talk about how we can customize these layouts and everything, which is great. But as soon as we turn our attention over to the Mebar over here, almost all the time we get a question about whether or not users can come in here and this can be tailored and targeted to them. As we all know, the way that this works right now on the Foundation site is that we have a content app, we have a widget that basically displays this Mebar experience globally for everybody. And the way we talk about it is that, yes, the widgets that are here are the same across the board, but again, the information that's displayed in them is custom based on the logged in user. So again, the weather will be updated, my links could be updated if they're using a persona there, and so on and so forth. But again, because that is a use case that we hear quite often, again, I took some time to try to recreate that experience that they're looking for there. And what you'll see over here, I have another homepage that I cloned, and now I have my Mebar over here, but this is what I'm calling my Mebar Picker. And what this lets me do now is be able to choose from a listing of widgets that are going to be available for this. And if I go to my widget properties, you see I have my new widget. I have two fields in here right now. And again, we can expand upon this if we need to. And what I have is, basically I have an array of objects of available widgets. Each one's going to have an ID and a title, and I'll show where that title gets used in a second. But also an array of default widgets. So again, a use case that we heard a lot about when we had the dashboard functionality way back when was that, yeah, they have all these widgets and they can have these configurations, but they want it to be populated for users when they come to the site the first time, and then they can configure it as needed. So again, that's what we're doing. This is basically a subset of this one right here, essentially, for that. So what's cool about that is that, again, we could have 50 widgets available for the Mebar, but maybe the default layout might only have 3 or 4, okay? So now that I have that in there, I'm logged in as Dan over here. And again, these are targeted to the logged in user, and I'll show where that gets stored in a second. And what I can do now is saying, you know what, I don't want my layout like this one right here. I can just click on my edit option right there. And now what I do is I basically simplify the experience, because I tried actually, and it works. Basically, instead of dropping these down into just this div container, essentially, I had it so that you saw the widget. But I felt that from the UX point of view, it wasn't very user-friendly, because the more of these you have, these toolbox widgets are going to be further down. You got to click on them, you got to scroll up, you got to drag them around. So the user experience I felt wasn't the greatest. So I think this approach made it a little bit easier to work with. And now all we're doing here is saying, you know what, maybe I don't want my Outlook meetings, I want my emails, and I'm just going to do my emails for now. So I'm just going to get these guys out of here. So I drag them into here for the ones that want to be displayed. And these remain here as my toolbox of widgets available for this on the page. So I'll do a quick save right here. And now my widget now is going to have these guys right there. What's cool about this is that the original Mebar that we have right there, I'm not making any more requests than we're doing right here. In this case, we're using a widget. It's getting the list items from the list we specified in here. So that's one SharePoint list lookup. Here, the only lookup that we're doing is basically saying that when a logged in user comes here, check to see if they've kind of established a layout already. And if they have, use that. And if not, do the default one for that as well. And then when we save it, we basically save back to that list. And that list is over here. So I have my Mebar_AK list right there. And so I only have 2 records in here because I only been using with 2 users. But you'll see right here, I have the widgets that are part of my Mebar and the created by right there. And this is basically what I use to determine, if they have widgets set or not. So you can see right here, Jason doesn't have any widgets right there. So I look at his profile page, or if I go to his site over here, so I'm logged in as Jason, again, he's seeing the default list of the widgets for this. And again, just like the out-of-the-box Mebar, again, these are still targeted and tailored to him, because again, he's part of different teams than I am, so he's seeing more than I would see right there. So again, from his point of view, I can come in here, I'm gonna say same thing as before. Maybe I only want my org tree for this guy, or maybe I'll do org tree and emails. Save it back, and now I'm gonna have my org tree and my emails right there. And again, if I come back over to my lists, you'll see that this gets populated right there. So again, this is going to have the 2 widgets for this right here. And so now what's cool about this is, not storing it and it's a cookie or whatever. But again, this is now, if I log into this from my mobile device or any other browser, again, I'll see my persistence Mebar that's over there right now. So that's kind of what I've been working on for that. Again, I think this concept can layer into other options, as Tim had talked about as well, that again, this is pretty simple. I just have this one single container for these widgets. But again, this functionality should be able to work pretty easily, say having maybe a drop zone widget over here where I can pick and choose maybe, out of, 5 or 6 different widgets I want to have on my homepage here, where the curated one's going to be, consistent for everybody, but maybe this guy right here is going to be a widget that lets you kind of pick and choose the different widgets you want to have in there for that. So some pretty cool ideas right there. And again, it's nothing new, obviously. It's just kind of providing some functionality with the new functionality that we have in the widgets to support that. So again, just wanted to share that and just kind of, help get those juices flowing.